Whoops. Creatives, community, kind folks out there, welcome. This is RPG with DBJ, and we are on a mission. A mission to save the world? Well, kind of. In celebration of two great events coming up in the sci-fi and fantasy medium, Avengers Endgame and Game of Thrones, we are doing a long form deep dive into the various characters of each genre. This week we're doing the Avengers and various characters, some of which, yeah, we've got your top five characters, the main characters, the ones most popular, but we can always find some role-playing game, tabletop role-playing game fuel for our games from even the secondary characters. This being somewhat one of them, we're going to deep dive into the vision long form. What can we pull out of the character vision for our role-playing games, whether you love horror or fantasy or sci-fi or modern genres or what have you? What can we pull out of it? Where can we go? What ideas do we have? So yesterday we did Iron Man and Tony Stark. So vision, especially primarily in the movie, the MCU, has an extremely tight relationship with his origin when it comes to Tony Stark. So we will be bringing up Iron Man a little bit in this discussion. But Vision also represents both a powerful character and a blank slate. Right now, we absolutely positively can go down the very used, I would say slightly overused path of the android out of water, right? The artificial being thrown in amongst humanity, who the android perceives as humanity having a very chaotic and somewhat barbaric nature. We've seen this in Star Trek. We see this in the Orville. We've seen this in movies and books and television and such. But yeah, Data, absolutely, and Isaac from Orville. But Data, yeah. I remember an episode of Star Trek where one of the crew members, a new character, calls Data, and he's like, "Well, that's not my name. My name is Data." And she's like, that's interesting. Forming the distinction between data and data, right? And so Vision kind of represents that. So if you want to pull on those strings, for example, making a character, I want to deviate off of this a little bit. If as a player character, someone wants to make a character who doesn't have very much information about the setting they're playing in, I'm going to pull settings out of my rear end, right? You want to play in Eberron or Ravnica, for fantasy realms, or Tolis or something. You want to play in a super spy game genre, or Call of Cthulhu or something. Well, maybe not Call of Cthulhu, but you understand that this kind of character actually really fits in, because you could play a character who's very capable and powerful, but doesn't know what's going on due to lack of information, right? It's not that they can't comprehend what's going on. It's that they just don't know what's going on. Vision is both old, i.e., like, Tony Stark's age and the other Avengers' age that created him, and he's young because he's only been alive for a couple of months to a year, maybe, or more. So you could play it. It's a good excuse to play a naive character in a world where everything is moving around them very quickly. But also, when it comes to playing an artificial character, for fantasy gaming, it's like the Warforged or Gearforged character, right? It's the sentient golem that's walking around and being perceived as property, or not being perceived as human, or having to explain who and what you are to people you meet because they don't know who or what you are. Everyone's trying to classify you as something, and not fitting into a classification may be the classification itself. And also although they don't really dive into it in the movies, they do dive into this in the comic books. The fact of the matter is he's an artificial being, and uh, a human being falls in love with him and he falls in love with her. So Scarlet Witch does have a lot to do with the idea of this artificial being having emotions, and uh, just dealing with that fact of, are they programmed into me? Is my personality artificial as well? Is it a amalgamation of other people, or is my personality coming from someone else? So those are threads that you can really pull from in terms of dissecting the character in a role-playing game, especially if you're using it as a PC, right? So maybe your game starts out at a higher level, whether you have a level system in Dungeons and Dragons, or you're using some kind of sci-fi system like Eclipse Phase, or I don't know, Stars Without Number, or Coriolis, or Traveler, or something. You could play a character who maybe starts out with far more higher capabilities, because Vision is quite a powerful character in comparison to the rest of society and even some of the teammates, but also again, not having a lot of experience dealing with outside forces. Now, in the movies, this Vision pretty much becomes very social quite quickly. So he's not a robot. It's not that he lacks a personality, but he tends to look at things through the eyes of logic until it comes to Scarlet Witch, in which he looks at things through the eyes of emotion, doing things to please her, for her, to protect her, and that kind of thing. Zevron says, would you have this character look like Eberron Warforged, or closer to human, elf, dwarf, etc.? Wow, that's a good idea, because they do, again, they hint. Zevron says Vision is a max level wizard personified. Hell yeah. Yeah, he's got that intelligence maxed out and everything. It's like 20 plus. Hell yeah. And personally, I would love for the character to look different, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily need to be Warforged, but or could be a Warforged in the shape of like a human, or an elf, or a dwarf. That would be different. But absolutely would be. Now, they do play with it a little bit in the movies, where Vision's got like the purplish red skin, and he's got the skin tight outfit where he can kind of like manipulate his own nanotech or what have you. But in Infinity War, he looks like a human being, right? He's got human skin and personality, and by will, he's allowed to, let the soul gem appear on his forehead, and instantly change into his superheroic persona. So maybe a spell-like ability like Alter Self would be useful to mimic that. Like, here's a character who's trying to blend into society and learn things about people, and uses spell effects basically to hide in and amongst society. And then when something happens, stress happens, i.e. concentration falls or whatever, the character is revealed for what they are. Now, it seems like Vision does not really elicit horror from people, right? Like, not initially. Maybe used to hanging in and around superhero bases, not really going out amongst public that way. But you could play with the horror element, where the PC people may fear this artificial being, or humanity tends to fear things they don't understand. So you could play with that if you want to make it more of a grittier horror tone, or this character being ostracized as well. So yeah, I would definitely play with that. Also, there is a classic. There's the classic, I have a great power I don't understand, and could be a great excuse for leveling up, right? Vision's got the soul gem. We don't understand it, neither do I. And then more and more capabilities are revealed. So that mid-level, 5th level wizard may begin to max out by 20th level by learning more, almost like an introspection rather than a learning things from exteriorly or whatnot, or even hell, downloading information as well. Zevron says a great way to start an adventure too. An NPC for a long time or fellow adventurer in the party is suddenly attacked by a group trying to take his power core, keeping him alive, only to find out the core is important to another's goals. What can it do? Exactly. And I absolutely agree with that. What a great story arc, right? I've got this thing, I don't know what it is. I'm walking around. The adventuring party, stumbles upon this one individual, like, we've got to protect you. You have this important device. And the person's like, really? Is it that important? I didn't know that. And then i.e. here comes the adventuring party, fights them off, meaning like they don't lose to Thanos, right? Initially. And then it could be uncovering what it means. And, how do I say this? Monster of the week, right? More and more forces maybe are able to track down this arcane focus if you're doing something fantasy, or this power core. And so little by little, it's a good excuse to say, hey, you're being attacked by bad guys, because once you use your power or magic or energy, they're able to track its energy signature or your arcane footprint or something, and then come after you that way. So yeah, the character could be very powerful, but maybe the other adventurers don't want this person to use their powers indiscriminately, because it could draw in more and more enemies and such. Dead Man Storytellers brings up Weatherlight Saga in Magic the Gathering. Yeah, the Weatherlight, the wow, my brain. I'm going to relate this to D&D. The Spelljammer ship that goes from world to world, plane to plane, and enemies hunting after it, and the people on it and such. So yeah, a good motivator, and a good way to ramp up tension if the PCs need to get from A to B and they have to avoid enemies or hide from enemies to get there in a certain amount of time. So now you don't have the ability to just rest and relax wherever you want to go. You've got to get, all your friends are trying to get you the vision or whatever from one place to another. Zevron says, though, knowing my friends, they might agree to take the core just to see what might happen. Yeah. A lot of sociopathic tendencies somewhat come out in role-playing games. It's like, ooh, if this thing is released into the world, it'll cause great harm. And there's always a player like, let's release it and see what happens. But yes. So the vision is another thing you could play with the vision is the character's personality and background being completely artificial. So here you have a character who wants to do the right thing for the right reasons and has some form of memories or so, but maybe those memories are artificial or have been manipulated. And we've seen this character concept before, right? The first level wizard character who has fought off a great evil or held back, banished a great demon or something, and in the process, to keep back this powerful force, lost all their memories, lost their capabilities, and now they're knocked down the first level. And so it's this idea of crawling back to where they used to be, while their great enemy that they held back, slowly and surely starts gaining their power. So Vision kind of fits into that role as well. Like, I know I'm programmed, or maybe I perceive myself to be programmed to be a nice guy and to do the right thing, but is that me choosing that, or am I finding this from my creator or the person who gifted me with these abilities? Zevron says, perhaps they are an experiment from a powerful mage or lich, an attempt to create artificial life. But with your character escaping, you triggered this magic user's wrath, scry, teleporting constructs, tracking and trying to kill or capture you. Lots of potential. Oh, that makes a lot of sense, right? A powerful mage or lich creates like a clone of themselves, or like you said, creates an artificial life. Um, here's a weird dichotomy, right? This evil, powerful lich has been performing, or wizard, or fill in the blank, right? Very powerful being does all of these evil, heinous, foul, genocidal things in an attempt to create like a lawful and just um, society, and begins with this artificial being to almost like they view themselves as a martyr in trying to perfect humanity, and the character happens to be the prototype. They're the first one. Or the lich truly wants to become human again after being undead, and then somehow the PC escapes and starts learning or drawing upon their own powers. And of course, like you said, the magic user's wrath is coming after them. They're scrying and teleporting things after them. They're sending constructs, maybe undead creatures. They're they're misty stepping and dimension dooring in, monsters and creatures to go after them to get their power, or like you said, their power source, or any kind of knowledge they have. And of course, you have the adventurers that are built around them. Now, the trick is to explain this kind of run and gun kind of scenario to the other players, if they don't mind being somewhat secondary story wise, right? So the other player characters could be powerful, but they may not be the center of attention. This vision character who befriends, I don't know, the bestial barbarian and the noble knight and the stealthy thief, right? And gathers them around them as a family. They may not be the main focus of the story, unless, of course, the noble knight has been trying to track down the lich, and the bestial barbarian's tribe was slaughtered by the lich, and the stealthy thief wants to steal the lich's phylactery, and then they all agree that this is kind of how the story goes. But again, a lot of this is just off the top of my head, you guys' head. So yeah. Zevron says, a magic user trying to perfect humanity. Can I just make a note? The fact that you use the word magic user pretty much tells me which when you joined into the RPG fold, right? I don't see you typing out wizard. So don't worry about it. I use magic user all the time as well. I correct myself with wizard and magus and all that kind of stuff. But I'm just picking with you, Zev. Anyway, Zevron says, a magic user trying to perfect humanity, killing and sacrificing their souls to build a new utopia of perfect bodies. A utopia they run, of course, right? Yeah, of course. It's I'm trying to help humanity. Side note, it's for my own, self. It's to put me as the king or queen of this world, right? But isn't that always the case? I mean, a lot of people were just like, Thanos was correct, except for the fact that he left himself out of it. I don't see him snapping his fingers at him getting killed, right? You know what I mean? He did quite a number of things that were egotistical, and hey, of course I'm right. You can't tell me I'm wrong. That kind of thing. As everyone says, I hear mage, wizard, witch, arcane user, arcanist, etc. so much. I just use magic user as a catch-22. Yeah. I'm like I said, I'm just picking with you, man, because between second edition to fourth, like, magic user split up, into its component parts. Yeah. I'm an old head. I've got the grays to prove it. But the vision also would make a great sorcerer of sorts, as in fifth edition wise, right? Could make a great sorcerer as opposed to a wizard, in the sense that you could have this character who has a limited number of abilities, but is able to maximize what those abilities are. Yeah, a wild Rickard appears. Hey, what's up, Rick? Um, uh, uh, Ricard, Johannes. Yeah. But yeah, it could be this character is trying to discover what they can do and maybe afraid of the power that it has. Maybe they have some information that this power core that they possess inside of them links them to this magic that is so wild that people fear it. And at the same time, it's useful to help out the party. So over time, they try to master it or control it. And what a great way to rewrite the wild magic table, maybe throw in some things in a wild magic table that pretty much make more sense. um Instead of turning into a sheep or summoning a fireball randomly, maybe you can look up spell effects or other abilities that more or less represent where this power comes from. Whether maybe, let's say, the power comes from the elemental plane of air, or this power comes from the abyss. Well, that would be wild magic, wouldn't it? But you understand what I'm saying. Like the soul stone may have everything. Not that it has to be specifically the soul stone, but what I'm saying is maybe it relates to life and light, but maybe also reflects darkness and death. So some of the wild magic effects might be a random globe of darkness surrounds you, or a creature that was just been killed rises from the dead, or the PC suddenly becomes and is considered an undead creature and suffers the same effects as if they were considered an undead creature, or they turn into a ghost and can't touch anything physically or something, right? You could just switch out one thing for another, make it more flavorful. I would absolutely let a player work with a player to do that. And then over time they can control it. Like Zevron says, maybe they can't even control their magic. They attempt to cast fly and explode a building. Yeah, well, yeah, I think I'm going to use the word gonzo again. The wild magic table has a little bit of a tongue-in-cheekness to it. But I think with some work, you could either re-flavor it or use the effects that are already in it to make it, to tell a more compelling story than, hey, I just want to do wild things and affect everybody else. You know what I mean? But yes, I know in the movies the Vision doesn't have wild magic, but we're talking about the strings we can pull, the stories we can tell from a character like the Vision, and what a great way to grow this character into becoming if this powerful Lich created this person, maybe they literally are becoming, quote unquote, the Vision that this terrible evil wanted to create. And what a legacy they hold, because on one hand they maybe represent everything that is just and good in the world. On the other hand, their entire origin is built off of the piles of the dead that were created by this evil entity. Zevron says Vision was mainly an advisor and intelligence gatherer because he was opposed to violence. So maybe you have an NPC that agrees to give the party info on their current quests, but as payment, they must help them find out who they are, what they are, who created them, and why. Ooh, that is an excellent way to add in to limit the Mary Sue GMPC, the NPC that's so powerful they start to take over the adventuring party. That could be a great way to add in that character that kind of so-called levels with the party. So at third level, they don't know anything, right? They're like, they have some knowledge, but they're just like, I really don't know what's going on. Can you guys help me out? And so the adventurer is like, hey, we're going to find out the true nature of this being, because we have some evidence they might be linked to a great evil on the side of the mountains and the jungles and the swamps and the desert, thousands of miles away. And so as we travel there, the PCs gain a 5th level and 8th level and 10th level. This NPC traveling with them as so-called the advisor, the intelligence gatherer, the person who's against violence, who doesn't partake, doesn't really want to harm other things. So this is the reason why they're not in combat. And so they start to learn who they are and maybe that unlocks some of their abilities. Rickard says could be a warlock with a pact for the stone. That makes a lot of sense too, especially if that stone, like it could be a ladder or a tree into something more powerful. So the warlock has a pact with the stone. They're gaining power and information from that stone and being told to do the just and right thing, but maybe that stone then has a link to a greater power, and the mystery of where the stone came from, why it is that it's giving them instructions, why it's giving them power. I mean, Eldritch Blast could absolutely relate to the blast from his forehead, right? With a couple of other tricks. If you really want to mimic the so-called powers that he has in the movies, it's like, hey, I've got a blast and can fly, I can pass through solid objects, I can become extremely solid and invulnerable to physical harm, that kind of thing. Because in the comic, they don't really tell you what his abilities are, but in the comics, he has density control, so he could make himself extremely light and dense. So I guess his molecules separate, so he can pass through objects, and then he can super densify himself, so he can weigh 500 tons and is immune to damage. So yeah, a warlock pack would fit absolutely. Rickard also says the stone could also be just like a mark for the real patron. Exactly, right. Yeah, there's a real patron, and maybe this character doesn't even know who or what that patron's motivation is, but it would be rather ironic to be a good character being given good instructions and find out the patron is rather evil, because they've been doing all of these evil and heinous things to create this army of good and just people, because that was their motivation all along, right? If you see where I'm going. Zephyron says, I just have the image of the local lord or lady ordering the Vision to join the party to obtain magical artifacts. The ruins are dangerous, but Vision isn't going to help. Such labor is beneath them. Quote, I could level them with the wave of my hand, but that's what you're here for. Why must I sully my hand without being ordered to? You know what? That makes, if you really want to go with the NPC route, because I've been kind of focusing on a PC, but as an NPC, you could have this person who's like a sage / advisor who's kind of watching the party, but at the same time uncovering knowledge with the party. And they could be a little bit aloof and arrogant, and like, my liege lord told me to travel with you, or my liege lord hired you to help me uncover the secrets of these powerful artifacts. But it's not my job to do like you said, to sully my hands and to do these things. Hey, kitty, I know you want some attention. But how funny would that be, especially if this person is powerful, and the PCs, because PCs, the minute if you stat it, they will kill it. So if you set up ahead of time what capabilities this individual has, like the Game of Thrones maesters, right? Hey, we're real brilliant. You need us around, but at the same time, I'm not picking up a sword. I'm not blasting something. That's, I'm not going down in the sewer. I'll wait out here. You do that. Rickard says, "Oh, I love a good, well-intentioned extremist trope." Yeah, always waving their finger at the party that keeps doing like somewhat morally gray things, like, I don't approve of you rogues sneaking behind the enemy lines, but I'm gonna have to report this to my lord when you're done. What I mean? And of course the player character is being annoyed, like, oh, does this person really need to travel with us? But at the same time, they might have some sort of like bardic knowledge. And I know this is a very simple trope, but if you really positively, absolutely must include some kind of healer in the group, and I really don't like that at all. I think it's very simple to do that. But if you really absolutely positively must include that person, this character could be that one who's like, yeah, I'll wait back here. You guys fight the stuff. They come back bloodied and bruised and poisoned and broken limbs and stuff. And he's like, heal, 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 heal. Like, you guys did an okay job. I think you could have swung your sword a little more accurately. I think you could have chosen some other spells, but beyond that, yeah, I give you an 8.5. Rickard says more like, quote, I will sacrifice all of the children of this land to save the world, referring to your evil patron wanting to create a greater good later on. Exactly. And uncovering that and then maybe having a weird moral choice where this NPC, or maybe even if it is a PC, is like, wait a minute, okay, am I always going to live under the shadow of these great evil things done? Or do I pick up the mantle of being good so that these sacrifices are never in vain? Right? Which one do you fall towards? Do you become a martyr and go, I'm just the end result of these massacres, so I'm just a living embodiment and reminder of what's been done, and sacrifice themselves, which could be a great way to go out, right? You hit 19th level and you're like, look, when I hit 20th level, I want my character to go out like a boss. So that could be a great sacrificial thing, or it could be embracing the idea of embracing embracing the guilt in a way, like for all these people that have died, I'm going to murder every evil thing for every good person that was sacrificed and killed, for every woman and child that was killed to create me. I'm going to exact my revenge or something against those people. Yeah. Zevron says maybe as a PC, this is a former statue or collection of rocks or plants that was given a spark of divinity by the Celestials to help protect humanity. They work as a messenger warrior of the gods. Ooh, yeah. That's a classic Greek and Roman story, right? The sculptor that created a statue that was so lifelike it was given life, or the sculptor desired to give it life. I don't know the exact story, but I believe that's kind of where it begins. And so, yeah, this character could be that way. They're not warforged or anything. They were just given life. And now you could use those statistics, right? You can just write down, okay, my character is warforged or whatever the case may be. But what a great origin. You're not a particular race, or you weren't constructed by clockwork gnomes, rock gnomes or something. You were just literally given a spark of life to go about this world and to do great things. Maybe even the statue of a great hero was given life, or a rich and powerful noble with a great heart was about to die and had a statue of his wife, and then his wife comes to life and becomes this character. That'd be cool as well. And like you said, you even included like rocks or plants or something else, diamond, obsidian. That'd be sweet. I can just imagine a character like that. Glass. Ooh, a glass, a whole glass being that could shatter and reform itself. I like this, where it's going. I like the mental fuel here. Rickard says, quote, I'm not going to live there. There's no place for me there any more than there is for you, Malcolm. I'm a monster. What I do is evil. I have no illusions about it, but it must be done. Yeah. Yeah. I love the choosing to embrace the bad, or to reject it completely and embrace the good, or reject it completely and do bad things for good, or embrace the evil and do the good things knowing your background is from the bad things. Whatever. I know what I mean, but I don't know what I'm saying. Zevron says maybe being a life domain cleric using the celestial power of their stone as a focus for their healing spells, a walking fighting kaleidoscope. Ooh. You could even describe your spells as having different colors. Because you mentioned kaleidoscope, right? So you could have each spell has a different color. Healing is gold, and protection is white, and then I don't know, blasting something with flame is red, and then there's blues and greens, and as this life domain cleric, you're out there doing good, and in a way, okay, in a way, the Vision could be viewed as someone who's inflexible. It's like, no, I'm logical and I'm good and I'm always going to be that way, trying to deal in a world with a lot of shades of gray. And you could have a lot of fun with that as a player character, or even as the NPC, as the NPC advisor, where this person is like inflexible in their thoughts and deeds, but around them, choosing the gray area may be what's necessary, right? And trying to convince this person that, and also causing trouble and getting into trouble, where the PC, like if you make this a PC, like, walking up to the front gate of the evil lord as this life domain individual and knocking on the door and say, could you please free your people, is not a good idea, but you do it anyway because being upfront and honest and true and just is your way. Almost like a paladin's, like the old style paladin before they had oaths, but you're not playing a paladin, if that makes any sense. Dead Man the Storyteller says, in Borderlands 2, the character Butt Stallion is a diamond horse. Butt Stallion? Is that really a name? I think you're making that up. No, I'm just messing with you, Dead Man, because you would never make up something like that. But yeah, riding a diamond horse. Wow. Yeah, I would love to. Let's see, I said the same things. Everyone's like, but yes, making a character formed of diamond or glass or obsidian that's been given the touch of a divine touch, which, remember, there is a warlock pact with a celestial being, right? So all of those things could come together as this character, and maybe the other PCs are like putting cloaks over this person, like, you've got to hide yourself, and they're like, no, I've got to do the right things and stuff. Yeah, Rickard says a walking conduit or artifact for the gods, both at the same time. That'd be kind of cool. Like a player character that is, they're not gaining more spells and they're not learning new things. What they are different. They're literally conjuring magic from different facets of their being, literally, right? Each facet of their gem-like stone that they're carrying, or in their chest or in their head and in their body, is a facet of more divine abilities that they've learned to control and harness. And I mean, you could easily explain some other things too, like instead of the character sleeping, their light flows into the air or something like that, and it looks like their body shuts down, and then in after they've gotten a full night's sleep, the light of the sun comes down, or even the moonlight or something, flows back into their body, and they wake up. Like, you could really reskin this character to really draw up the artificialness of them as not being human and not being a one-off type of being or what have you. Oh man, you guys are silly. Zevron says, I see Zevron's picking. Zevron says, it would be interesting for the PC of a goddess of kindness and love, seeing how awful the world is. No matter what they do, people still do evil. The bad go unpunished, the good suffer. Maybe they fall and reject their goddess. So you're saying, like, this could be, this isn't someone born from whole cloth, but a spirit of sorts, or an angel or an angelic power that comes to earth to right the wrongs because the other angels refuse to get involved, or so-called are waiting for instructions, and they're like, no, I'm a being of good, I'm going to come down, and maybe their spirit inhabits this inanimate thing, whether it's a gemstone or inhabits a statue or inhabits like what was mentioned before, like plants or rocks or something, and animates them, and then starts walking around doing these good things, these good deeds. And maybe that's how you can include, what a great way to include good aligned adversaries as enemies, right? They're trying to, so as the characters gain more levels, maybe some of the celestial powers could be sending messages to this PC through various religious religious organizations, and then eventually the celestial powers come down themselves and are like, look, you need to come back to us, you're not supposed to be doing these things. And the player character is like, no, I'm on a mission of justice and goodness. And maybe one of the angels is a little bit jealous of what they're doing, and maybe even embarrassed for not having stood up for their friend, or could even be not just jealous, but like feeling like they've been one-upped. And so maybe celestial powers are now becoming enemies of the PCs. And you're working against the celestial order. And so now what a great way to add in good aligned adversaries, and maybe some other good aligned adversaries, quaddles and storm giants and good aligned dragons and blink dogs and those kind of things are drawn into this conflict, not understanding, almost being forced to pick a side of which kind of good you are. And so these other beings might be pulled into this conflict, and they're just like, wait, what? Maybe initially they don't understand, but after a while they're like, wait a minute, what? You mean this is a fight between two people because you guys couldn't agree? Like, why the hell are we part of this, right? Yeah, what a great way for us to like really, really, really draw out what the hell's going on. So something I did not bring up yesterday with the Iron Man discussion, and as we're discussing Vision, I do want us to come up with some external not conflicts, but like obstacles they can go through. Because I really did want to add some third pillar stuff in here. Yes, I know I'm the self-appointed third pillarist. I am a dictator, but I did want to throw in some great challenges or conflicts they can get into, whether like physical things as well as mental things. Because we kind of hit a lot of little mental tricks, mental conflicts and choices, but I want to come up with some physical choices as well. So Zevron says the party, if this in oh, okay, excuse me. Your chat message got bumped a little bit because I just saw the second part of it. So you say it would be interesting for the PC of a goddess of kindness and love, seeing how awful the world is. No matter what they do, people still do evil. The bad go unpunished, and the good suffer. Maybe they fall and reject the goddess. The party of this individual, like looked winged lady with glowing eyes. We have nothing to do with this. We are basically in an armed circus act. trying to trick the Celestials. I don't know how good that's going to be. How good that would go over, but sure, maybe Celestials, because they have stats. Maybe it is once they come to Earth, they have their limitations. Sure, but. So I was thinking of some kinds of encounters that this character would kind of spotlight in, would kind of shine in. So one, of course, would be, or not even shine, but great encounters that this character would have would be the spotlight of, because they have to make like tough decisions or whatnot. So as everyone says, knowing how most parties operate, this isn't a trick. That's honesty. It sure is, man. It sure is. The majority of the time, yeah, most characters, you get them together and you're just like, what kind of hodgepodge chaotic mess is this? Oh man, yeah, absolutely. It's just like random food items pulled off of a shelf, just thrown into a shopping cart, and there you have your adventuring party. Yeah, ketchup and cauliflower and 6-pack of socks and motor oil, just all mixed into one thing. Paper plates. Oh man, yeah. Oh man, Ricker, you're funny. I see you. So okay, so I think some spotlight encounters would be things where like saving the innocent would be really cool. meaning like maybe there's an evil enemy and there's innocents trying to flee from an evil enemy, and this person's interposing themselves. So almost you could even do this as kind of a um, kind of um, a chase scene where there's a retreat, a tactical retreat chase. So the PC is very powerful, but the squishies, the gnats, the mortals are the ones that are in trouble. And so there could be this idea of a run and gun where the innocents, there's like 40 innocents and they have to run away. That 40 plus deception just got in my head. So there's 40 innocents, they have to run away from this great evil to get them, I don't know, over a wall or past a ridge, or hiding them in a cave or what have you. And there's great evil coming after them. Maybe there's like devil dogs or displacer beasts. I love myself some displacer beasts. But so the challenge could be fighting off the evil things and at the same time not letting them get past this PC. So it may be a choice between, sure, I can blast one or maybe two and kill them, but there's 12 of them. So I'm going to have to use other tactics to hide and deceive and cover the innocent people to keep them from being eaten by the ravaging evil that's hunting these innocent people down. Rickard says, we take payment in downtime away from traumas. Yeah. Funny. Zera says, why do the devil worshippers and necromancers and Joker clones always seem to group with the paladins of justice and vengeance? Yeah. Wow. Why is that? I'm not sure why they collect together. That's a thing too, isn't it? There's the first time someone makes up, like you said, the devil worshipping necromancer or the just and true paladin, somebody always has to go be the contrarian, right? I want to make a contrarian character just because. And Ricker says, DBJ, I'm not joking. We did a combination con and we got 41 and 43 on the bluff. Wow. Angel looking around like, I swore I recognized you guys. I mean, sure, I detect angelic powers coming from you, and you do look exactly like the people that stopped all the other things that I was trying to do, but I guess you are just a circus group. All right, well, I guess I'm gonna have to keep looking around. Yeah. Ben from Gulf City, what's going on there, man? Yeah, Ben from Gulf City is very active in the comment section. I do read everything that you put down, even if I don't respond, dude. I really do. Forgive me if it becomes difficult for me to respond to everyone all the time. So Ben from Gulf City, what's going on there? Yeah. We got a little, maybe 10 minutes left in it, but glad you could join in. But I think some other encounters you could create just for this character, other than like the idea of fighting off like a horde of evil to keep the innocent people alive, I think would be one of knowledge, gaining knowledge. So it could be that this character could also may have to find and uncover, ancient artifact or tome or gain some information. He says, "Cool, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't mean to be rude to people who go out, take their time and energy to respond like you guys in the chat. So I like to give back just a little bit. But yeah, the idea is that you could have this character who has to gain this knowledge, and then you could put a time limit on it. So maybe they go into the desert and there's ancient text written on a wall in the desert, and sand is pouring into this crypt or pit, and the PC has to gain as much knowledge as they can before the pit is filled with sand. Or maybe at the same time they're being attacked by like giant scorpion riders or something. And so the choice could be, I'm powerful enough to blow away the scorpion riders, but I also need to read this information off of these ancient texts off the wall. And which one do you do, especially if there's a time limit? So I think that might be a great obstacle for this, that really brings up something that this PC or even NPC could do. If the NPC must read the grimoire, and the grimoire is chained to, it's this ancient grimoire from the gods or something, and it's chained to the wall, and they're reading this thing on this altar that's been chained down, maybe the PCs have to protect the grimoire and the NPC before the place floods with water and the sharks come in and start ravaging the party or something like that, right? You know, it put a time limit on it, and putting the time limit ramps up the tension, and also is an alternate, gives you an alternate success method. So instead of just doing damage to the bad guy, it could be, look, we need 5 rounds for you to read this thing or whatever. You roll a die or D4 or something. Yep, rolled, got a 3. Okay, it's going to take 3 rounds for him to really decipher this information. Good. Okay, so we only need to be down here for 3 rounds, and then we can get the hell out of here, right? Yes. All right. So let's set up a perimeter, fight off the bad guys. 3 rounds later, I'm just going to cast a spell and get us the heck out of here. We don't even need to kill the bad guys. We just need to be here for a certain amount of time. So Zevron says maybe the goddess is weakening. Her worship is getting smaller as a war god becomes stronger, seems to be wiping out the other faiths. Your goal is to protect and rise a new spots of worship. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like this goddess or god of like light and life and justice is weakening and waning. And it could be from years of war, right? And then so now this one character is picked to basically to rekindle the flame. And everywhere they go, they're like creating these little small enclaves. Even if it's only 3 to 5 worshipers, they're like helping them out and going, you know, just keep the faith. And little by little, they're spreading it. I like that idea. I like the idea because it's very narrative, and you could even make the claim that the PCs level up due to the worshipers gaining more, due to more and more worshipers getting online, as the case may be, right? The only reason you're leveling, it's because you're fighting and you're learning stuff, but it could be more abilities are unlocked as more and more people are gathered into this so-called cult that becomes the true religion that used to be here. I like that. Zevron says maybe you protect as few churches from war angels or war priests that control the state, and who knows, what a great way to have like good versus good. The war god or goddesses or the pantheon of war might be waging war on evil, and the innocent people in the middle are the victims of this great war. And so I like that idea as well. Ricker says, never, ever read a grimoire that has been chained down and buried away to be impossible to get to. That way lies Cthulhu. Yeah, yeah. That is true, man. That is true. Like, yeah, please don't open the book that's chained down and hidden away. That you're just asking for it, right? But of course, we're PCs. We got to poke the elephant, don't we? Like, you know, or poke the tiger, right? It's like, you go into a room and you find an unopened book chained to the wall, and then, you know, half the party's like, oh, I want to read it, and the other party's like, please don't open it. But again, maybe since we're talking about the vision, what if, almost like a sin eater, what if this character's whole purpose is to uncover these dark energies and is to do these things, almost as if it's like, almost like the idea is this character is drawing more and more evil things into them to keep those evil things away from the rest of society. So you could make the vision and create maybe a warlock character, like a warlock warforged character, and as we said before, reskinned as like obsidian or diamond or glass or something, or a statue, and the character is gaining more and more so-called evil abilities because their warlock patron is evil, but really what their patron is good, but we're just reskinning a fiendish patron because what they're doing is they're drawing in the evil into themselves so that the rest of society doesn't have to experience those things. So you could absolutely reskin a character with an evil patron with evil fiendish powers as a good character and just character, right? It's the sin eater. When someone heals, they gain dark powers because they feel the pain that they're healing, and so then they can take that pain out on other people. Their shadow becomes dark and red as they walk along, and when they use their powers against someone else, they cause the wounds that they absorbed from the innocence that they helped heal. Oh man, yeah. Rickard says, "Ooh, Vision is one of the statues given life as the war priest or angels comes to destroy the temple." Ooh, I love this storyline, man. I love this. So the angels come down and they're coming down to break the temple. I could imagine where the roof is being ripped off and the giant pillars, they're like hundreds of feet tall and they're crashing down. And here alone, as each statue is being pushed over one by the faithful of the war priest, you have this one statue that just their eyes blink, their skin cracks, they come alive and they escape. Or maybe it's left in rubbles and they're the one thing that is able to crawl out of the rubble of this place. And maybe the player characters are refugees from this great war of these angels fighting off these fiends, and they gather around this statue, this one lone statue who becomes another one of the PCs or even an NPC. Ben from Gulf City, I roll to break the chain. Of course. Yeah, someone's going to try to be breaker of chains. Hint, hint, hint. Get it, right? Zephyron said, but it's there. You gotta open it. Exactly. Yeah, you gotta open it and have your face melt. Rickard says the Necronomicon written in true speech just to make sure anyone can read it. Yeah, somebody went out of their way, like, let me write this in common. Got to make sure everybody can read it. have their brains explode. Zephyron says maybe when Vision takes a bad crit, their arm falls off, losing that shield bonus, taking a penalty to hit, etc. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. So you're saying like flavoring this character. So if they take a crit, you could say things like like the statues with the armless statues, like they take a crit so their arm falls off that has the shield in it, and instead of carrying around a mundane shield, the shield literally is like carved into their arm from like a statue. Like the other arm has a spear, and if they get critted on the other arm, their whole arm and the spear falls off. I like that idea. They take a crit to the leg and the leg just crumbles the stone. Now mind you, as we're talking about this, you can get into some kind of trouble, right? Like, is this character immune to, like, does the character sleep? Can the character be poisoned? Can the character be petrified? I would say yes, maybe they become paralyzed instead of petrified. You can that would be kind of weird, but I would work with someone to do that. It could get kind of complicated. And I know there are many players that would try to like use and abuse being a statue, as opposed to following along with the rules of the game as set for the other player characters. But I think I think there's a way to reskin what's going on and still make it flavorful. Rickard says, I could also see it as the Vision is so infused with the god's power at that time, they stop the attack, but doesn't remember it because it caused they weren't yet. Oh, doesn't remember it because they weren't yet conscious. I get it. Yes. Zephyron says you could heal it with spells, like the arm falling off. Yeah. Absolutely. The PCs have to go and gather it because it fell down into a pit trap, and they got to go get it and put it back on before it's healed. But I do hear what you're saying, Rickard. Like you're saying like the Vision is infused with the god's power, but they didn't stop the attack at that time, and so now it's the excuse for gaining levels and gaining power and experience, right? It's the I was just awakened or just gained consciousness and this came down, and now it is my job to rebuild this church or this faith of justice and whatnot. Or it could just be one of the divine angels gives power to this vision type character, knowing that the other angels have lost their way because they're consumed with this battle against evil, and all of the innocent people in this world. Like if I could push the ravaged land of Kryphoth is a great setting. It's almost like it's a setting where again evil has taken over. It's almost like a Dark Sun setting with this great evil demon that's overlord that's dominated this blasted wasteland, and you play a character in it. So that would be a great way, I would say, an excuse of sorts for the player characters to be right in the middle of this thing. Like, wait. Like, I know you're fighting evil, and evil you're fighting good, but we're suffering in the middle. So F you guys, right? Everyone's joking. He's like, is this John's arm? Arm gives a thumbs up. Yeah, it's his arm. I love that. The arm gives a thumbs up like, yeah, it's me. Someone's got the arm put in the backpack and they're like running along. Could you scratch my back? The arm just gives them a little scratch on the neck, like, thanks. I had a little kink there. Oh, that would be some great fun, especially if you have like a really dark and gritty and sinister theme, just to add a little humor into it. I would love that. Just like Star Wars. C-3PO adds a little bit of comedic humor when C-3PO gets blasted and loses his body, gets shattered and stuff like that, and someone's got to carry them around till they repair them / heal them, put the statue back together. Yeah, I would have fun with that. I think that would be great. Rickard says, I'm thinking more, Metroidvania style. You start as super powerful, but once the battle is done, they become aware they have lost control of most of that power. So you're saying, like, as a prelude, there's this great power, this great battle. The PC, it's almost like the origin story. There's this big battle, the PC, they're having this fight, and then boom, they lose control of that power, fall down to earth or fall down, and then the story picks up where they're trying to regain that power. I think that's what you're trying to say, or at least that's how I'm interpreting it. So sorry if I got it wrong. Everyone says someone steals the arm to use as a clerical focus. Wow. All right. Foolish says, YouTube didn't notify me about the stream. Oh, well, I'll catch it later. I did make it in time to say, smash that like button, though. See, again, YouTube and their damn. Oh, yeah. So sorry, Kiwi. He brings up a good point. Guys, if you like this kind of long form, open discussion about, like, hey, here's a thing, no agendas. We're just talking about coming up with great ideas. Someone said, do vision, yeah. I don't understand. If you subscribe to somebody, I think that should be it. Now you got to subscribe and hit the notification button, and you still don't get notified by the people you subscribe to. Like, I have 129 at last check, I believe, subscriptions to people, and I still have to go into my phone and look for those subscriptions when people upload new videos. I think it's stupid. But anyway, yeah, Rickard says, that's sad. It's always on every day at a fixed time. You don't really need a notification. Yeah, which is why I purposefully said, look, I know, especially people in the States, like, I get up at the crack of dawn. I get it. But at least I'm here every day at the same time. So I try to do it. So anyway, guys, if you love this kind of like long form type of thing, like, share, subscribe, share it around. By the way, don't do this for me. Join the Discord. It's down below. Join the Discord so you guys can continue the continue the discussion. If you want to steal this, I mean, really what this is all about is stealing great ideas. We're just getting together, coming up with ideas, and somebody steal it, right? Somebody go, hey, man, this is a great idea. So, guys, I got to head off to work, but thank you for joining me. We did Vision. I don't even remember. Let me see if I can find who's going to be tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm going to bring up what the subject is going to be tomorrow, which character. So this week, we're doing the Avengers. Next week, we're going to do Game of Thrones, and we're going to go back and forth. We're going to pick a character and steal things from them, steal ideas that we can use for our games, whether it's primarily Dungeons and Dragons or futuristic or something like that. So right now I'm coming up next. Oh, tomorrow is Black Widow. So tomorrow's Black Widow. Then we have Hawkeye, and then we end with Black Panther. And then, of course, next week we're going to do Game of Thrones, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, guys, everybody have a great one. Let me go back into the chat. Ben from Gold City says, I'll get my brother to subscribe. He loves this stuff. JP, what's going on? JP, thank you for creating the Discord. Love you guys. Thank you very much. Everyone have a great day. See ya. Bye.